Hey there, welcome to Retro MX Reviews. We are back. Today we have a very cool bike to check out. This is a 1984 Suzuki RM250. This was the kind of the early years of some cool things like water cooling, full floater, kind of getting into more modern designs. My friend Alan Oots let me borrow this bike today for a quick review, and kind of that era, I love that era. The bikes were changing so much, year to year to year. A bike from 80 to 84 is a completely different bike. Like, I don't even know what parts would interchange other than, you know, tires and tubes. And everybody was kind of experimenting and going their own direction. Some of them have a sprocket on this side or that side, or, you know, they weren't really sure where to put radiators, so they were experimenting with that. And even, you know, are you going to have one, going to have two? How do you want to do it? So to me, this is a fun era, and I'm looking forward to getting out and doing laps on it. And let's do a quick walk around of the bike and kind of just check out the technology. So quick look, the history on these: they went to the full floater in 81, and then water cooling in 82, 83 more changes, and then 84 they went to this kind of bodywork design, which is, I guess, supposed to have been inspired by the Works bikes from the year before. But what's always funny to me about this design, and it's not this bike in particular, it's all the Suzukis, this fender is kind of a duckbill, platypus, whatever you want to call it. And when you look at it, this looks like it just slopes straight down and like almost like it curves under. So it's always just wild to look at. Forks, they had made it to 43s by this year, but these are still conventional, so no valving, just oil and spring and damper rods, holes. Dual leading shoe front brake. I think Honda and Kawasaki were already on discs by that year, and Suzuki went in 85. Water cooling, and, you know, in the kind of the location that we all came to accept. Big bulby tank. Looks almost like an off-road tank. But the other thing I'll point out, look how skinny that bike is. So something that's really cool about these old bikes, they are super skinny compared to your modern 250F, 450, whatever. When you look at the cylinder, it's kind of funny because it looks small. And the reason it looks so small is they didn't have power valves yet. So really it's just the cylinder, easy to work on. Big air box here. I know sometimes people would punch out those holes for a little bit more air. And it's a single side air box, because when we get to the other side and you look at the shock linkage, you'll see why. Tiny little shifter, tiny little baby shifter. I think those are probably upgraded pegs. I think the stock ones were actually skinnier than that. And then here it is, the full floater. Such a cool looking design. I know it's a lot of pieces. For a lot of things to wear out over time, but a cool looking design, and it's smart, you know. Suzuki ended up, I think there were lawsuits. They kind of ripped this design off, and then they never they ended up going away from it in 86. So they had it on here for about 5 years. And Alan's got a DG pipe on this one, flat side carb. That was probably about the beginning of flat side carbs on motocross bikes too. The bodywork just cracks me up on these, because it looks like people, like different committees from different companies all designed a piece, and then they all just bolted it on. Like it just always looks just like kind of cobbed together. And it's not just Suzuki. I mean, a few of them did that. So there it is. There's your walk around, and let's go out. I blew up my 125 in practice, so Alan told me to just go ahead and race this one. So let's go out and race it and see how it goes. rolled off the track. As you can see from the video, I did not do myself any favors on the start. Just kind of goofing around, hit the gate. And so really the first few laps, I hardly even paid attention to the bike. So not too good for a bike review, but probably it says a lot for the bike though, that you could just jump on and race it. And there was really like nothing bugging me about it. So you know, you look at this bike and the layout and you think it's gonna feel so strange, but it really doesn't. You know, the pocket does kind of put you down there, but that's where you should be riding anyway. So maybe it even saves a little effort because it kind of holds you in there. But just kind of looking over it, the suspension, this track's not super beat up, so not a lot of problems with suspension. Like, it felt great to me. The forks were subtle enough, no problems with bottoming, and not, you know, no big jumps here, but the shock is really good. That thing, you know, in chop, it just powers through it. And you know, those things were kind of legendary, and they went away from it for a few different reasons, between legal and production costs or whatever. But it feels really good. I was a little surprised with the motor. I thought it was going to have more kind of grunt down below. So you really had to be careful to be in the right gear. And there were a few times, you know, I kind of flubbed it and was having to abuse the clutch. So for a 250, it didn't have all that much bottom end, but it has a nice broad middle range, right? And it's not like a explosive hit, but again, on a track like this, it really, you know, you kind of roll out of the turn if you're in the right gear, and then the power is just getting ready to come on right as you're rolling out. And so there were a few times I was just nailing turns and just listening to that motor, and you just kind of goes rah, that nice clean 250 sound. So that was that was a lot of fun when I managed to get it right. I think I could really have a lot of fun on this era of bike. And it felt capable. I didn't notice any problems. You know, Suzuki's were known to be a little twitchy. I didn't notice that at all. And in fact, the turning on it was incredible. No doubt I was cornering better on that bike now on my 500 than I've had forever. It sinks into those turns, and between that and kind of that lowered riding position and everything, I mean, it was just a really great handling bike. So overall, I mean, I haven't ridden, you know, my 500 is 86, and there are some older bikes, but I haven't really ridden anything, you know, from 84 to compare it directly to, other than the CR480 I rode a few years ago. But anyway, so overall, that's an extremely competent race bike, and I think anybody could take that and, you know, if you could pick one up and have a really good time with it. So I don't feel like it's really any kind of a, you know, if you're running in a 1983 to 86 class or whatever, I think that bike's good. And I really like that amount of power. It feels almost like, kind of like a 250F, you know, it's enough power that you respect it, but it's not like a 500 where you're really fighting it a lot. So yeah, I think 250 might kind of be a sweet spot for that era of bike, and something that's really just fun to ride, not quite as nerve-wracking as the 500, not as aggressive as the 125. So that's it. Huge thanks to my friend Alan Oots for letting me review the bike, and then I blew up my 125 in practice, so then I actually ended up racing it too. I was just gonna do a few laps for the review, but actually getting in motos on the bike so that you can tell more about a bike when you're doing motos on it anyway. So huge thanks to Alan, and yeah, it's gonna be a fun day at the races here, and thanks to him for that.